What is up, people? Welcome back to Blue Chip Prospect for another scouting report. This time we're diving into the world of one of my very favorite, Matvei Michkov. The guy is so incredibly talented and smart, I think I'm in love. As usual, I'm going to break down his stats and compare him to other players from this season and from previous seasons. I'll grade all of his tools, and we're also going to go through a ton of clips so you can better understand what type of player he is. And finally, I'm going to give you an NHL player comparison and my approximate ranking. So without further ado, let's get this started. Alright, so first thing first, my guy is a left shooting winger who has been playing on both sides of the ice at different occasions. He's 5'10", 147 pounds according to the KHL website, which is very light, but that should give him plenty of space to grow physically. And he's a December guy, so not the youngest and not the oldest. He's in the middle of the pack when it comes to age. For the rankings, they're pretty much all at 2 or 3 or 4 depending on how much they value the Russian factor and that contract that will prevent him from playing in the NHL for the next 3 seasons. In a perfect world, he would join his NHL team by the 26-27 season. So for the stats, he started the season with SKA where he played 3 games and averaged 3 minutes and 11 seconds of ice time and 5 shifts per game. So his 0 point in 3 games are very understandable. He then was sent to their VHL team, which is like their AHL level league, where he put on 14 points in 12 games with 10 goals in that 12 game span. To put that into perspective, the closest player to Michkov's level of 1.17 point per game is Valeri Nichushkin with a 0.67 point per game, basically half the production. He then was sent to the KHL Sochi team where he instantly became their best player on that team and produced 20 points in 27 games with 9 goals. Again, to put that into perspective, he has the best point per game production on a KHL team. Not a good one, but still, it's the KHL. So his KHL production is the best ever. He has a 0.67 point per game if you include the 3 KHL games where he played like 5 shifts. So that's better than everybody before him, including Tarasenko, Panarin, Kucherov, Kaprizov, Kuznetsov, Bushnevich. So everybody. If we go even further back and we compare to the Russian league before it became the KHL, it's even better than Ovechkin and Malkin. This is an unbelievable type of production. And we didn't even talk about his 16 points in 7 games at the U18 in his 15-16-year-old season where he was better than Bedard and Wright. We also didn't talk about his 13 points in 5 games at the Linka Gretzky tournament 1 year later, or his 3 goals in 2 games at the U20 before it was shut down. The guy has proved at every level that he's a very special type of talent. If you took the Russian factor out, he would be the number 1 pick in almost every year where there's no McDavids or Bedard in the draft. Before we jump to the grades, please take the time to subscribe and like the video if you enjoy the content I'm making. It's really appreciated and it helps me grow the channel. Thanks. Alright, so I graded this guy really high on many of his tools, including his playmaking, where most people wouldn't go as far as saying it's IN. With 10 goals out of 14 points in the VHL, most people would say he's a finisher and not really a creator, which I would agree at this moment. His entire life he had more goals than assists, so it just makes sense to tag him as the finisher. But I think that with his elite puck skills and his elite mind, there's a lot of untapped playmaking in his game. His skating is just fine, it's deceptive and elusive. He's agile and have a smooth stride, but there's very limited amount of power you can throw behind every stride when you're 147 pounds, right? I don't think he'll ever be a fast skater that can create separation in straight line, but I think he'll be good enough east-west skater when he adds some muscles to those legs. Other than that, I don't really like his compete, and that will need to change in my opinion. I think it will, but for him to become the best version of himself, he'll need to become a more engaged and have more bite, especially on defense. His defense is basically horrible. He doesn't care like at all, it seems. All he does is float and glide and follow the puck carrier, and it's just not at an acceptable level. It's weird to see a guy that can break down the opposition defense like it's nothing at the KHL level, but can't play basic defense at any level. The only reason I can give him a 6 is because he can compete well for the puck in the offensive zone and isn't scared to play the middle and position himself in the low slot. Where he really shines, it's in the combination of his shot, his puck skills, and his hockey sense. They are all elite level attributes in my opinion, and it's one of the reasons why I graded his playmaking as high end. When you have that type of control over the puck and that kind of mind to see the plays develop in front of you, there's no way he doesn't end up a great play creator too. So overall, he's an elite player that needs to bring his play off the puck to a higher level so his team isn't hemmed down in their zone every time he's on the ice and they lose possession. So before we start the clips, to help you better follow with the videos, look for the number 39 when he's wearing a blue and orange jersey or when he's wearing a black or teal jersey. Also look for the number 95 when he's wearing a blue jersey, and that was when he was loaned to the Capitan team in the MHL. Alright, so for me, hockey sense is the ability to read the game, anticipate the play, break down the defense with intentional movement or manipulation, make smart decisions within your abilities, and execute on them quickly. I also put awareness in there, which is the player ability to be aware of his surroundings, to know where his teammates or the other team's player are, whether by constantly scanning the ice or understanding offensive and defensive schemes, but mostly a combination of both. Michkov has all that at a high level. All of his routes, all of his shots or passes once in the offensive zone are creation instead of reaction. His hockey sense is evident in his creativity, his shot selection, his vision, and his awareness. He's really good at creating space for himself and for his teammate by exploiting open space and weaknesses in the defense. He's also really good at using his agility and his stick handling to generate offense. Defensively, it's a very different story. I don't know if it's a hockey sense issue or just a compete issue, but like I was saying in the grade section of the video, he doesn't seem to understand how to play defense effectively. I don't think it's ever going to be a strength, and it really doesn't need to when you're that good offensively, but efficient defense can really help your team gain back possession of the puck and move the play forward where he can shine again. Beyond the offensive blue line, Michkov is a good competitor, and the effort level is evident. He battles for the puck and try to gain body positioning even against bigger and older opponents. He's not scared to play in a dirty area and the low slot. He can park himself close to the net and battle for possession without issue. When he was sent to Sochi, he played with passion and emotion for a team that lost 47 of their 68 games and had overall 32 points on the season. He also came back stronger than ever after a knee injury that knocked him out for 2 months. So he's definitely a competitive athlete who strives to be the best and never gives up on plays. But in the defensive zone, he stops working completely. It's not every night, but it's significant enough to see a constant, and for me to only think about that every single time that I think about his compete level. Is it because his team got outscored 254 goals to 142, so he doesn't see the point in defending, or is it because he doesn't understand his assignment and need coaching? Honestly, I don't know. We will see next season if he plays more than 3 minutes for SKA in the KHL. They will for sure never accept that level of effort defensively, but they have the coaching staff to help him get better at it. As I'm sure you've heard before, Michkov's skating is good but not great, especially for a guy of his size. But in my opinion, I think that depends on the situation. Should he be the guy to get the puck from the D zone to the O zone on his line? Probably not. He doesn't have the separation speed for that. But can he explode out of given goals and transition that way or create scoring chances that way? Hell yeah, he can. He's also pretty light on his skate and can accelerate through crossover really well. I think his strength as a skater comes from his fluidity and his deceptiveness and elusiveness. He has all kind of small stutters and misdirection he can execute with his feet that really open ice and passing lanes for him and his teammates. And again, he's 147 pounds. That's a lot of physical maturity left on the table. Even if he tops out at 5'10", 170, 175 pounds, that's 25 to 30 pounds of muscles. That's a ton of power and explosiveness. Considering his stride is very decent and smooth, he will be just fine even if it's not going to be his bread and butter. Alright, so now we get to the good stuff. I was listening back to my recordings and it didn't feel like I was talking about someone who's an elite talent and would go first overall in most drafts, or someone that I'm really excited about. And that's a bit because of the way my video is structured. It's very hard to take Michkov individual skills and break them down into little snippets of the player he is. The reality with him is that hockey sense, his puck skills, his playmaking, and his goal scoring should all be one individual part in this video called offense or something like that. Even his skating could be put in there as it's an integral part of his offense and his manipulation of the defense. I don't remember where, but I read somewhere that he has a very tactical approach to offense, and I couldn't agree more. He has a very strategic mind and a clear plan for every situation. He knows how to connect the dots in any given situation and finish the play with a goal, either from himself or a teammate. He's a very efficient offensive player. Everything has a purpose, and every little passes or fakes or strides is part of his master plan. He has a special kind of patience, and he will wait it out until the perfect play comes around. He strives for high danger play all the time, and he doesn't have time for little passes with no direction or intention. He'd rather keep the puck on his stick until he sees something dangerous or create something out of thin air by using little give and goes or by baiting defenders. In the NHL, he will be a monster on the man advantage. It's much harder at 5v5 to use patience and keep possession of the puck while being pressured by NHL defenders. On the power play, though, that's where he'll shine the most, and not just as a shooter, but as an opportunity creator. In the NHL, there's a good mix of passive and active penalty kill. He can easily demolish both just as well. He has no issues getting in close and baiting defenders out of position on a passive PK, and he can create pocket of space or 2-on-1s this way as much as he can use high pressure style of PK to spin off of the defender and open passing lane or shooting lane this way. He's a master at timing shots and passes with his skating and his puck handles. I know it's a very cheesy comparison because of the Russian origin, but go take a look at how Kucherov operates on the power play. There's not a single pass or a single shot where he looks in the direction or where his skates are pointed in that direction. There's not a single pass that didn't come with a few misdirections to get the stick and legs and eyes out of the way. This is exactly how Michkov operates. I have no clue who his favorite player is or who he models his game after, but if he said Kucherov, I'd tell myself that I knew it all along. Alright, so last but not least, Michkov's shooting's ability is at the very top of this draft, with Jaeger and Crystal close behind in terms of pure skills. What separates him from other good shooters in this draft is his ability and his willingness to get to a better position to shoot the puck. For example, Dalibor Dvorsky is an excellent shooter that I didn't even include in my top 10 goal scorers in this draft because he doesn't have that willingness to reposition before taking a shot, at least not with AIK. He has the frame for it, he has the puck skills for it, but it's not natural for him. Michkov does it all the time. Like I said previously, he's a high danger play hunter. If he has the space to move just an inch closer before he releases his shot, he will. Obviously, like every good shooters, he will take one-timers and wrister from the perimeter. It's just that his preference is to get closer for a more dangerous shot or redistribute the puck to move in close and take a shot from a high danger area. Another major strength in his ability to shoot the puck is his ability to handle the puck in tight and shoot it under high pressure. Bedard is an expert at this also, and the only player who can do it on the same level as Bedard is Michkov. It doesn't really matter how many players are trying to strip the puck away from him. He has that special kind of ability to keep the puck away with quick stick handle and shoot the puck from basically any position. He can shoot it on the backhand, from the side, from his toes or his heels, from far outside his body to between his feet, or even off balance. He can do it all and shoot it with power and accuracy. And like I said in my top 10 goal scorer video, he can find the net from any distance, even with sticks and pads between him and the goalie. He only needs the smallest of opening to wire it through 5 players with precision. The only issue that I have with his shot is when he tries to shoot in movement or shoot in stride. Compared to somebody like Jaeger who can let a laser go in a fraction of a second with barely any forward motion, Michkov takes his sweet time to fire it. Not only does he completely stop skating 90% of the time before shooting, his release is not even close to Jaeger's level when it comes to shooting in stride. But other than that, he nails down every single aspect of an elite shot and every single aspect of what is leading up to it. Overall, when it comes to offense, he's a very unique player with a very unique skill set. In the offensive zone, he can do it all. He can take care of all the preparation and the goal scoring. He's been a finisher more than a creator, but I believe his mind is equally elite at both. In their prime, I think Bedard will score more goals than Michkov, but I'm not sure he will score more points overall. It's a bit like, do you choose Pasternak, who's a dynamic head-first player with moves to break everybody's ankle on his way to 60 goals, or a more strategic, elite brain player like Kucherov? They're both equally good, but extremely different in the way they work and the way they create. Like I said, I know the Russian to Russian comparison is a bit cheesy, but Kucherov really seems like the best comparison for Michkov. Extremely skilled in every facet of the game, but also extremely smart and tactical in their approach. On a skill level, if I take everything away about the Russian situation and the contract, Michkov is clearly number 2 in the draft. I'll go even further and say that he's in the same tier as Bedard for me, but just not in the same place in his development. Therefore, he comes with more risk and a trickier projection. Bedard can jump in the NHL next season and be a 60, 70, 80 point player. I don't think Michkov could do that. The physical development, the compete, and the skating are all clearly on Bedard's side, but in time and in their prime, I think they will end up in the same tier as NHL players. Alright, that is it for Michkov's draft profile. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me or if you think I'm completely out to lunch with my tier projection. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.